my union. Labor negotiations broke down with the administration, so here we are.
My name is Sonia Shahal. I'm a physician associate. We are here to ask for fair wages. It seems like over the time we have a shortage of staff. It's chronic, and now it's just getting worse. And over the time, the economy is getting worse. And with all that, it's very challenging to survive financially. And we're overworked, burnt out, and it
well, why don't you have enough staff?
You know, we've just been told that there's not enough funds.
But they're building all these big hospitals and line hospitals.
That's a really good question for the management. They're, the people who are making all these decisions. But you're right. We have more buildings, so we will have more patients, but we're not getting enough staff that we need.
That's a problem for the patients as well, isn't it?
Yes, because we're stretched thin every day, and with that, we're not able to really take care of our patients the way we would like to. We would want the best for them, just like we're best for our families.
It's a great hospital, isn't UCSF? It's supposed to be a great hospital.
It is a great hospital. I'm very proud of to be here and be able to serve here all the population, all the patients that come here and can seek care here. And they have high expectations, and we would love to meet their expectations with our full capacity and full energy.
Educational healthcare institution in the world. However, they also are one of the worst employers in California. They seem to not realize that their ranking in this healthcare space and in the education space is because of you. Because of the work that all of you do and the variety of work that all of you do every single day to make UC work. Yeah. And yet this public institution wants to act like any hedge fund or any corporation and keep you put down as they continue to increase the salaries at the very top. Are we going to stand for it? No. We are not going to stand for it. Are we going to stand for it? No. So I want you to know that the unions throughout California are going to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. If it's raining, if it's snowing, it shouldn't be snowing at any of our campuses, but you never know with climate change, right? If it's hot, if it's cold, we are going to be with you all the way until you get the contract you deserve, both UPTE and 3299. We're proud to stand with you. We'll continue to stand with you. ¿Se puede? Se puede.
You go. I must confess that my loneliness under contract is killing me now. Don't you know? You will be here and give me a fair contract. Hit me, baby, one more time.
I'm Bernadette Parker. I am one of the AFSCME MAT leaders. I'm an 18-year senior custodian here at UCSF Parnassus campus.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We're legally and fairly with us as employees here. They've taken it upon themselves to raise our healthcare premiums up to 11% without even fairly bargaining that with us. They refuse to come to the table and negotiate fair wages, decent healthcare benefits, or even housing affordability. While yet we're here watching them provide their executives with extensive amounts of raises, $250,000, and they don't want to even give their frontline heroes a decent living wage by which we can keep up with the cost of living here in San Francisco and other counties as well.
Is this union busting? Would you say they're trying to bust the union? I mean, these tactics. I mean, the fact you have to pay for health care, you can't even afford. Yet some members have to work 2 jobs. I mean, it really sounds pretty crazy.
Yes, I agree with that. They are trying to separate us based upon the fact that they have a hold on us and they're not willing to fairly negotiate with us. A lot of us do work 2 full-time jobs while still not being able to meet the cost of living here at the university. Our patient care, we're responsible for the cooking, of the food, the cleaning of this place. You know, we answer that call button when those patients are in need. We make this university in the top ranking that it is.
In the world.
In the world. And yet they treat us like second-class citizens, disrespect us, have no concern for us, our families, or our livelihoods.
And the regents, what do you have to say to them? Because they're appointed by the governor. They're supposed to represent the people of California. It's a public hospital. What's going on? Why aren't they? And also the patients that are being affected by the lack of staffing.
Which is another reason we're out here striking, is because they do not support us in the care that we provide for the patients and for this hospital. The rich are getting richer while the poor are getting poorer. It's getting to the point where we're paying UC to come to work for them, and that's not how it's supposed to be. UC needs to take care of their employees just like they take care of their executives.
And how are their executives treated?
Oh, they're treated very well. They got low income with regards to purchasing new homes. They're being provided with housing. They're being provided with everything that we're struggling to have just to live off on a daily basis. We spend more time here than we do with our families. They get to go home and enjoy life with the family while we spend our time, many of us sleeping in our cars, just so that we can be here to make the low wages that we do here. It's a control that is not fair to us as heroes and frontline workers that carried them through the pandemic.
So you know workers at UC who have to sleep in their cars?
I do know a couple of people. Yes, I do personally. And that's due to the fact that we spend up to 12 hours a day here, and we live so far away from the campuses in which we work. So it's more feasible, as crazy as that sounds, to stay in your car as opposed to taking that 2-hour commute home, sleep for little or no time, and have to get up and be right back here to be of service.
And UC is the largest owner of apartments in California, property. I mean, what does that have to say about their priorities when their own workers don't even have a place to sleep?
Exactly. How unfortunate it is for us, being that we are employed by them. They are one of the largest landlords here in California. They have billions of dollars that they continue to invest in Blackstone, which is a slumlord. And you still won't even do anything. We're making you one of the top institutions in the state, yet we're struggling as if we're second-class citizens. How fair is that? How fair is that? We're watching buildings be put up all around us. We're watching executives get these extensive raises, but yet we can't even get a fair minimum wage to meet the cost of living. So the struggle is real, and the fight is real. We'll keep coming back until they come to the table and fairly bargain with us.
And to Governor Newsom and the other officials of the state of California, they're supposed to be in charge, or they have a lot of influence. They're on the board of the Regents as ex officios. Have they spoken up and said, how come you're not treating the workers like they should be treated?
I can't actually speak to that fact because I don't know, but you would think that with all the political backing that AFSCME does for politicians such as Gavin Newsom, that they would be more supportive of us, because our support is what has gotten many of them into the office and in the positions that they are, and yet they don't look back to look out for us as we push forward to endorse and support them.
Throughout the pandemic, we were told that we were essential workers, and we came to work every day, and we know what the economy is looking like. And we don't think what UC is offering tells us that we're actually essential.
And I see your word, kafaya. I mean, the money that's being spent on war, do you have a concern about priorities in this country?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, we need to stop spending so much money on things that don't help us. Like war. It doesn't help us.
And hospitals are being destroyed in Palestine.
Of course.
Does that bother you?
That's probably like the one of the more important lessons from this that I've learned is seeing a firsthand footage of what's going on, like, and just seeing on a level I've never seen before, healthcare workers and just generally everybody being disrespected and murdered, you know. So.
And what is the role of the university, if at all, at that? I mean, I know that they have retaliate and punish people for speaking out, professors and others? Or what?
Yeah, I think there is some of that for sure. I think there are a lot of stuff has to do with funding. You know, who's funding what and who you don't want to make upset. You know, and it's really unfortunate that morality judgments are clouded by it.
And what kind of work do you do?
I work in pharmacy, investigational drug services.
Well, the drug companies make a lot of profits.
Exactly, for sure, and you know, that's definitely part of our world. And you know,
my name is Megan Lacey.
What's going on here today?
Oh, the AFSCME and UPTE strike, 2-day strike, and here in solidarity, brothers and sisters.
And they said that there's a concern about understaffing and even having to pay $1,000 a month for health care. What's really going on here? There's a lot of money at the university. I mean, they're making profits.
Clearly, there's a lot of money at this university. I mean, you can see that UCSF has not just broken ground here at Parnassus, but also spending a lot of money buying out hospitals around San Francisco. And there really hasn't been a lot of talk about how they're planning on staffing that part of it. Also, there's already an issue right now that we're seeing with staffing clearly just the existing hospitals that we have.
Well, it seems like the priority is like competing with Sutter, competing with Kaiser, Stanford. I mean, what is happening with this, what should be a public health care system at UC?
Oh, that's a big rabbit hole. If I had that answer, boy, I would love to share that.
Well, Governor Newsom appoints the regents, and apparently they're spending millions of dollars on lawyers fighting the union. I mean, an unlimited amount of money for lawyers. Does that bother you that the state of California is really spending money through the regents and the university to hire lawyers to fight unions when they're demanding negotiations? I mean, they're not demanding anything radical, just having negotiations.
Absolutely, it bothers me, yes, because I mean, I don't even see that these demands exactly are very outrageous, and the fact that they can dig their heels in, UCSF can dig their heels in and cause this kind of upset within the system and still not really move even an inch toward negotiations really frightens me. I mean, it just speaks a lot to how they see unions, and you know, that's why I'm out here. I think it's important to show that we are here together to fight and like do what's right. This is all for patient care. This isn't to like make our pockets bigger, and I think that should be pretty well obvious to them, but it's not.
This is a world-class hospital,
Yes.
yet the stress, the understaffing, I mean, there are concerns here for the patients. Are you concerned as well?
Absolutely concerned, yes.
And what can be done? Because it seems like the regents are pretty much insulated. They're not elected. There's no democratic control, and many of them are business people. They're making money. Richard Blum, previously on the regents, was taking union money taking pension money and using it for his hedge fund. I mean, you think there's a problem here of corruption and with the real goals of the university?
I do, and I think that's what you've just shared is only like the tip of the iceberg of what is really known about public, public knowledge. So yeah, it's scary. Healthcare is in jeopardy. Like good healthcare is in jeopardy, and we're seeing it here in San Francisco. So
are you worried also about what's coming down nationally? They put the head of the healthcare and put Oz in charge of Medicare, and I mean, what's next? I mean, they don't believe in really oversight, deregulation. They're putting the companies in charge of regulation. What is the future for healthcare workers and for people in this country?
You know, I hope that the future is that unions continue to come together, show our support for each other, stand by like what we believe, which is patient care, taking care of each other. And I hope that it'll eventually, the truth will come forward and we'll be able to come to a common ground where we do have a good healthcare system. We're very far from it though.
And the government is also talking about deporting millions of people, workers who are undocumented, immigrants. What's that going to do to healthcare? Because people are afraid even to go to hospitals. In Texas, you have to say that you're a resident, legal. I mean, as far as the healthcare system, you think it's going to have an effect on that?
I mean, it's already affecting the healthcare system and people seeking help. I've heard of stories already of that happening. even before all of this became more of a highlighted issue. And yeah, it's going to become worse. And I believe all these people that think this is a great idea, deporting, is they're really going to find out that that's not going to be ideal for anybody.
I mean, the priorities, I mean, the United States is spending trillions of dollars of war. It seems there's an unlimited budget. I mean, yeah, billions. I mean, and yet right here at UCSF, you can't get money for basic needs. People are working 2 jobs or commuting, can't get housing. Where's the priority?
I think you just answered your own question, yeah.
So what can people do about it who want to change this priority?
We can show up and demonstrate.
Teresa Palmer, MD. I'm out here because of consistent underpaying and understaffing at UCSF. I'm a patient at UCSF. At one point, I was a doctor at UCSF. And the staff is under incredible strain. If they have all this money to do massive building, they should have enough money to staff and support their workers. So I'm here in solidarity with all the people that work to support the doctors that are giving medical care.
And it seems like the priority should be taking care of the patients. And if there's understaffing, does that threaten the quality of care that's being given?
Yeah, it means you have to wait. It means you have to make multiple phone calls and multiple emails to get what you need. And it means that shortcuts get taken because of lack of time and oversight. It's especially hard for people that are coming to UC because they have unusual diseases that can't be taken care of in the community. And they need highly personalized care. And when all of the assistants are just overwhelmed, you get passed over. And if you're not sophisticated about getting the attention you need, you get run over.
So for people who have less sophistication, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes, you have to have more and more guile and wile to work the system, and people who are sick don't necessarily have that.
My name is Sean Singh. I'm a nurse case manager. I've been working here at the Parnassus campus for the last 5.5 years.
And what are the issues your union and you feel is important for working people and for the public to know about in this struggle that you have?
So we're fighting for safe staffing levels. We've been being overworked. We are taking on more with less. We've had case managers that had double the patient loads because colleagues are going out. We go from 30 patients to 60 patients. It's not sustainable. We filed an unfair labor practice, and we requested the university to give us all the list of open vacancies in our titles. And for the last 18 months, they have not provided us, so we don't know why they're hiding that data. And we just want to fight for our patients. The quality of care that we're providing has been deteriorating. Patients are staying longer in the emergency department. They're staying longer in the hospitals. They're seeing insurance denials. And the longer you stay in a hospital, there's more infection risk. There's a lot of issues that from patients staying in the hospital longer wait times in the emergency department. Patients are giving up going into the emergency department. Just this week, I had a patient in the emergency department for 4 days. So, we're just fighting for what's right for our patients, what's right for...
You had a patient who was in the emergency department for 4 days?
They were waiting for a bed, and they were in the emergency department for 4 days. A lot of our patients wait in hallways, so they're in their most vulnerable positions in hallways waiting for a bed, and, I think that's unfathomable. I think it's disrespectful for our patients and our colleagues to work in these conditions. The first thing a patient might tell you is, when am I getting a bed upstairs? So, so it's a big problem, and it's been going on for multiple years, and the university has not addressed the issue of recruitment, retention. We're losing our colleagues. They're illegally increasing our healthcare rates.
How have they done that?
So they've not bargained with us. When you're out of contract as a union, the university has to come to you to bargain over, increases to your healthcare rates. So they propose increasing our health rates by 11%, increasing our co-pays by 50%, increasing specialty medications. We have colleagues that are going to be, from $50 to $300 a month for their specialty medications. How do you recruit and train employees when they're paying $4,000 more per year for, health insurance?
Where is Governor Newsom? And he appoints the regents. Are they standing up for you and other UC workers? Because it seems like all of you are facing similar attacks. The AFSCME, UAW.
So I know there's local leaders here in San Francisco. Dean Preston was here. I don't know about Gavin, Newsom. That's I think Dan Russell, our president, may be able to give you a better answer there. But we have local support. We've endorsed 4 supervisors in San Francisco, and they've gotten elected. So they're in solidarity with us. So
And I mean the patients are suffering from what you're saying. I mean,
yeah. If you go and talk to any of the patients that are coming out, or family members of patients going to the emergency department, they can tell you what's going on in the emergency department.
Sounds like a real scandal. They're buying other hospitals. They've got construction sites, but they don't have enough.
Yeah, $4 billion for the new hospital. You have a new clinical sciences building, $890 million. You've seen double-digit increases for the CEOs and chancellors, and they're just a lack of respect for the people that do the frontline work. While the chancellors, the CEOs, and the executives are getting double-digit compensation increases, while the patients and our colleagues are suffering, doing more with less.
This is an unfair labor practice strike. I understand. Is the university spending millions of dollars on lawyers to fight the unions here?
That's a good question for the university. So, they're saying this was a premature, unfair labor practice. This has been going, we've been talking with the university, we've been talking with their managers about this for years. So this is a culmination of, there's a reason why so many people have showed up here, at the picket line. And, we're going to be showing up tomorrow at Mission Bay. And our colleagues across the state, across, the University of California system are ready to go if the university does not bargain with us.
What can people do who want to support this? Struggle.
Reach out to our CEO, Suresh Ganasankaran, the Chancellor, Sam Hoggood, put pressure on President Drake, go to your local politicians, and, and if you're a patient here, just say, we want high quality care, and the way you deliver high quality care is with people that, provide that care.
And also can get taken care of by themselves when they get sick.
Yes.
I'm out here because UC, unfortunately, even though they are listed as being a place that is supposed to be world leading in healthcare and industry, they treat their workers as if they don't mean anything. They will sit there and they criminally underpay us. They will understaff us severely. The burnout rates and the retention rates are terrible. The amount of people that I've seen come and leave just in the last 2 years, let alone 6 months alone, is incredibly staggering. And honestly, it's disheartening because people come here, they dream and hope their whole lives that they come here and they're gonna be proud and show their families what accomplishment it is to be here. And then you come and work here and you're so severely disappointed. You see things like duct tape on the walls, and you see rooms that are falling apart. You see them hiding their flaws whenever there's investigations or anytime they do inspections like JCO. They will push so much stuff under the rug and they just hope that nobody's going to say anything. And we work so hard because we care for our patients, and we really want to show our patients that no matter how the UC treats them, we want to treat them as best as we can and provide quality health care. But there's only so much that you can do before you burn out too. I've seen so many wonderful people just retire and leave and do as much as they can before they just eventually give up and burn out. So I'm out here hoping that we at least get a fair contract and also get some of these staffing levels fixed. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I really hope so, but that's why we're out here, is to make sure that UC knows how big of an importance that is.
And what's your name? Why isn't the hospital administration being held accountable? I mean, they say they're a public hospital, yet it seems like they're trying to cover up serious issues of understaffing and the way the hospital is maintained.
They are covering up a lot of issues. I mean, it's criminal when you see them taking things like the big beds that we have that aren't supposed to be in the hallways. They'll line the hallways with them, and then they take them and they put them in a box truck in the back of the hospital just to hide them, so that way it looks like they're actually being compliant when they're not. They just push so much stuff under the rug. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that, especially when there's inspections and things like that, they're given notice, so they're able to plan ahead and work and hide all their flaws, so that way when they come, they look pristine. And then whenever the inspection's over, they just go back to normal.
And the regents who are in charge of UC are appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom.
Right.
Why aren't they taking responsibility for what's happening? The fact that you have to go on strike to seems like get basic needs met that would serve the patients of the University of California Medical Centers.
So with that, I couldn't really say, unfortunately. I think a lot of it has to do with the general mindset of, as long as we keep ignoring it, we don't say anything, maybe it'll just go away. And they think that, I mean, if you think about it, every single time we've had to do a union negotiation for a new contract, every single time they've striked. And so it just goes to show that each time they're willing to push it to the absolute last minute and stretch it to the absolute max, because as long as they can keep doing it and nobody keeps complaining, they'll just keep going.
Well, I understand also they're spending millions of dollars on law firms,
right?
Union busting law firms to fight the workers. What does that say about who they are, that they would spend all this money on lawyers, but they can't take care of the patients and the staff?
Honestly, it just says that their priorities are skewed. I know that there's a lot of people that can make a huge difference that just aren't able to because their hands are tied by organizations like this. It's unfortunate. I wish that we were set up better so that way, you know, we could actually have a bigger open forum and there was more control. I don't think that things, for example, like our CEO and like a lot of our people that are in the higher up positions, they have free housing, free parking, but they charge us. They live in the city, but we can't even live in the city. They're one person's bonus just this year alone would be enough to give everybody the raise that we asked for. One person sacrificing would have been enough, but they're not willing to do that because as long as it's getting brushed under the rug, they'll just keep going.
And it seems like they are buying a number of hospitals here in San Diego. They're massive capital expansion. I mean, it seems like they want to be like Kaiser or Sutter, and that's their priority. Does that really have anything to do with what's going on?
I don't know. I will say that they had for months put us on a hiring freeze, 2 soft hiring freezes and 1 hard hiring freeze, stating that we were short budget. And then shortly after we were released from the freeze, they said, hey, by the way, we bought these hospitals in cash. Like, I thought that we had no money, but you have money to buy hospitals. And then they said, oh, but we blew all our money on these 2 hospitals, so we're going to have to make it back. And then they go, actually, we're opening 2 new campuses. And we're like, wait. So I thought you just said we were broke again, but we're not broke. So I think there's so much focus on, you know, quote unquote potential money that they're willing to sacrifice the people that make the money in the first place.
And the whole healthcare system in California, it seems like these big so-called nonprofits are really driving to make more money, competing against each other. Do you have a feeling that's what's going on at UC?
I would definitely say that, especially because we can hide under the, you know, title of being one of the best in the world. So who would suspect us? Obviously, we're globally known, we're internationally recognized and, you know, praised. So who would suspect us?
But it seems like it's less and less run like for the public, but more and more to expand, to compete with Sutter, to compete with Kaiser, and Stanford, the same thing. All these hospital chains really are in competition for more money, more patients.
They are. If you've ever seen any of the retail workers, they're even more criminally understaffed than we are, and we're already clinging on as it is. And I would definitely say that I think they've looked at those retail models and figured, well, they've made it this far and they scraped so low and been okay, quote unquote, even though they have, you know, hundreds of thousands of chains that are closing down, but they're just thinking of the quick money rather than the long term.
And how does it feel being a hospital worker and then not being able to go to a hospital? They keep raising the fees. I mean, it seems like it should be free for hospital workers. I mean, why do you have to pay to go to a hospital when you work for a hospital?
Honestly, I wish I could tell you. I've worked in healthcare for 15 years and I've worked at multiple organizations and every single one is the same. Even though you work for healthcare, we're the last people that are thought of.
And that must be pretty stressful for workers.
Oh yeah, at one point I was paying $1,000 a month for insurance as a full-time employee. And I wasn't with any family members, kids, anything like that. That was just me by myself. And I still had a deductible on top of that.
And how do you live in San Francisco? $1,000 a month for health insurance? And you work for a hospital?
So right now, like this current contract, my healthcare has gone up 110% from what it was last year since the contract ended, and so the renewal period opened, and so it wasn't part of the negotiation this time so far. So it's definitely expensive. I can't afford to live in the city. Working here, I work 2 full-time jobs, so full-time here and full-time at another business, and even then, I can't afford to live in the city.
My shortest commute to get here is an hour and a half. On average, it's usually between 2 to 4 hours to get here. And then that's not including even leaving to go home. So it's cheaper for me to just go to the next job and keep running.
So, I mean, the issue of like, you should be able to have one job and not to have two jobs, is that an issue for yourself and others here?
I would say that at least 80%, and that's probably being conservative here, are all working multiple jobs. And that's even people that are like pharmacists, people that are that have doctors, they all are working multiple jobs because they can't afford it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard a pharmacist alone this year say, hey, I would love to go on vacation, but I can't afford it. I don't have the money. I'm like, you went to school to have a doctorate. You should be able to make enough money to at least take a 2-day vacation. Nope.
And what does it say with the oligarchy? You have Musk, you have these billionaires. It seems like their profits are going up, their wealth is going up, and people are suffering.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But they do not care about the people that are at the bottom, because the people at the bottom are making them their money. So as long as they're comfortable and they don't feel any effects, then they're fine. It never was about us, it's just about them.
And how long are you prepared to stay out?
Honestly, I'm here for 8 hours and then I'll be out again tomorrow.
But you're going to continue this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I've been a champion when it comes to, fighting for rights and healthcare even before this job, and I'll continue to be so.
And what can people who want to support you and others?
Honestly, a lot of it has to do with, surprisingly, politics. If there was more regulations to, keep employers from having such huge pay gaps, if there was, requirements that they had to pay livable wages, if there was, more accountability that was put in place, that would be huge. A lot of people are, big on protesting and then complaining online, but we need people to actually go into offices. We need the people to actually, vote in these elections and vote in the different, bills that are being passed and propositions. We need people to be, not just say that they have a problem, but to go out and be part of the solution. So it's nice to have people that are willing to shed light, that don't feel like they can, go out and do it themselves. But for anybody that they think they can, or they're inspired to, or they want to help support somebody else who's willing to put themselves out there to make that difference, that's huge.
And the patients, are the patients aware of this? Because, the patients are being affected. That's who you work for. You're really trying to make better for patients, or...
Actually, so what they did was they discharged most of them. They canceled a lot of cases. They moved a lot of appointments, and they basically sent out emails saying that there was safety issues, or that, there was going to be delays. And so they tried to incentivize as many patients as possible to not be here. So that way they wouldn't have as much of knowledge about it. They didn't want it to be advertised or anything.
And there are other unions that are negotiating, UAW.
Yeah.
And you have the nurses here. Is there a united front of all unions? Because it seems like if everyone went out together, that would probably end this whole struggle, because they would not be able to operate.
So that's a little bit more complicated, because if you think about it, each of those unions have different contracts, and those contracts expire at different times. So majority of the time you won't see union activity at this scale until their contracts are ending, because that's when the employer is pushed to make decisions.
Are you on? Okay, thank you.
Ask me.
Oh, ask me. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
So, but you think the idea of united front of all unions would be good?
I definitely think the united front would be amazing. It's not realistic at this day and age, just because they're all, like I said, if their contracts were all expiring at the same time, if they all were part of a broader union, but because they all negotiate different, contracts and rates, and they have their own, priorities, it's a little bit harder. And it's hard to ask people to come out here, because they're not even getting paid hardly anything to be here by the union, if at all. A lot of people are here, sacrificing money, and they're living paycheck to paycheck already. So even just being here for one day, it can cost somebody, their lunch for the next week, if not more.
People are on the edge already. Survival.
Right. We're already so close to the edge. So it's hard to ask for each union to come out and sacrifice when they're already so close on the edge on their own.
I'm Elizabeth Milos. I'm a medical interpreter here at UCSF, and I'm a member of UPTE, University of Professional and Technical Employees, joining my coworkers here on a strike. Today is not a strike day for me because I'm not working. Today is not my normal work day, but I'm still out here with them.
And what are the issues? A lot of the members are angry. They're having to pay $1,000 a month for health care. The university seems to have a lot of money for expansion. People are talking about they're building 2 new buildings on this campus. They're buying 2 hospitals.
Yeah, they seem to be putting a lot of money in construction of hospitals, including using a lot of Caterpillar bulldozers in the construction of these hospitals, and acquiring St. Francis and St. Mary's. But they seem to forget one thing: staff. At my department, for example, we're missing 3 positions, 3 Spanish interpreters positions who have yet to be filled, and they're tying it to so-called productivity, whether or not they're going to decide on including us, hiring, rehiring. They're doing that, the same thing in many other departments that are, in fact, much more heavily, there's a lot more heavy workload on case managers and other things, you know. And I've heard from patients, and I'm also a patient at UCSF, and you have to wait for quite some time before you can get important tests.
So that could put people in jeopardy if they have to wait months and months for a treatment, examination.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people try to get appointments early, and they, in a reasonable amount of time, and they have been pushed until, from here, for example, February, you know.
You have a sign here, healthcare workers, stop bombing hospitals. As a healthcare worker, what do you have to say to what's going on as far as the money funding the billions that are going to war and bombing hospitals, apparently?
Well, University of California is not innocent in all of this. It is basically complicit, because the University of California has a major donor called the Helen Diller Foundation, and they're being unduly influenced by that foundation. That foundation has been in charge of funding the Canary Mission, which has been crucial in the attack against professors and faculty and doctors and nurses and other staff members, and ruining people's professional and academic careers with false accusations of anti-Semitism. Canary Mission has been very harmful and has been functioning pretty freely in these past, 2 decades in the University of California system. And UC also has been firing people and has attacked UCLA students during the encampments, UC Santa Cruz students and workers as well. And what I am particularly upset about is that my union, UPTE, has passed a resolution back in 2021 for boycott, divestment, and sanctions, and to stop arming and aid to Israel, and to break ties with Histadrut. But the present leadership refused to, basically they took it off of the website, and they have refused to acknowledge.
They sanitized the website?
They sanitized the website, they whitewashed it, and in fact, when we tried to present this resolution, a new resolution, to the convention in September 28th and 29th in San Diego, this past San Diego, they applied a parliamentary trick of a non-existent rule, of a 60-day rule to be able to hand in resolutions, when that rule only applies to when you're trying to hand in amendments to the Constitution.
They violated their own Constitution to prevent a discussion about a resolution on this idea of separating the contract fight from Palestine, from military spending, which is going on, billions. Isn't that part of business unionism?
It is, and it's also part of the AFL-CIO strategy of basically, continuing to support Israel, like they did when I was the San Francisco delegate to the San Francisco Labor Council. The AFL-CIO sent a letter to us telling us that we could not discuss the issue of Palestine. Well, they didn't say the issue of Palestine, that we could not discuss international issues of which they had already taken a position, which of course was in support of Israel.
I mean, healthcare crisis, it seems like the government now, the Trump administration want to privatize healthcare, they want to bust unions. They don't believe, as a matter of fact, that graduate students, public universities, they want to privatize the entire system and also take away the right of unions to organize. What do you think is facing labor here in this country?
Well, I don't think we're really fully aware of what's in front of us. In fact, the fact that Trump has assigned Dr. Oz, a TV personality in charge of Medicaid and Medicare services, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's very dangerous, in fact. The issue about what's happening here is that we're going to have union members being attacked just for organizing. We're not going to be able to count on.
And raids. I mean, INS will raid these locations. Many members, union members, have family members who are undocumented. I mean, this could really affect the membership of your union, the families.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many undocumented workers there are, but that's not even the point. The point is that we need to support each other, whether we're documented or undocumented. All workers need to support each other. And at this moment, there are workers and doctors and people from different, statuses that are being attacked. If they can attack doctors here at UCSF, they can attack basically anybody. And our unions need to be able to step up to the plate and defend us. Defend us when we speak our mind about Palestine, and when I mean, the whole issue of the UAW, for example, the workers of the graduate workers, they have difficulty finding a place to live, and Blackstone is one of the major companies that UC invests in, which is a speculator, a real estate speculator that has been evicting low-income tenants and has been also displacing people. Blackstone is nefarious, and it's like a national company that our pension funds are invested in, and we're also in some.
They supported Trump, the head of Blackstone.
Of course, they support Trump. Yeah, and they support and fund with our money, by the way, with our pension money that we contribute. They fund the opposition campaigns to rent control, opposition campaigns to Medicare for all. I mean, they've been funding things that go against workers' interests for a long time, and UC is complicit in that by continuing to invest our money in that.